The Beatles, Beatles aren't that great. Beatles, brr, 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 brr. As I've said many times, the Beatles in my house were religion. My parents, my dad specifically, was a huge Beatles fan. And it was total religion. I have I'm Only Sleeping is my favorite Beatles song. I have it tattooed on my arm in my handwriting because that's what you do if you're a Beatles fan. All right, so I'm going to just quickly find my factoids on my white index cards. People talk about the Beatles' career being 10 years long. It is not 10 years long. The Beatles' career is actually 8 years long. And I will give you a brief synopsis of the timeline so we know where we're at. Okay, here we go. June 6th, 1957, Paul and John meet for the first time. August 17th, 1960, the Silver Beatles become the Beatles. February 9th, 1961, the first gig at the Cavern Club happens. January 4th, 1962, they sign with Brian Epstein. August 18th, 1962, Ringo joins as the drummer. So that's officially, basically, the lineup. 1962 is where it all begins. September 4th, 1962, the first recordings are done at Abbey Road. January 11th, 1963, Please Please Me is released. November 22nd, 1963, With the Beatles is released. January 10th of 1964, Introducing the Beatles is released. July 10th of 1964, A Hard Day's Night is released. That's right. January, February, March, April, May, June, July. 6 months later, after With the Beatles, they go with fucking Hard Day's Night. I'm sorry, Introducing the Beatles go Hard Day's Night. July 6th, the movie comes out. So not only in between that, in that 6-month period, have they written, recorded, and fucking done that album, they've also made the entire movie. All right? December 4th of 1964, that's all three in the same year, Beatles for Sale is released. So you have Introducing the Beatles, A Hard Day's Night, and Beatles for Sale all released in the same year. July 29th, 1965, Help, the movie, is released. August 5th of that year, they play the first stadium show in the history of the universe at Shea Stadium. August 6th of 1965, Help is released. December, the movie is released. The album is released. December 3rd of 1965, Rubber Soul is released. So in the same year, they make the leap from Help in July, in August, and in December they do Rubber Soul. August 5th of 1966, which is basically 6 months later, Revolver is released. June 1st of 67, Sgt. Pepper's is released, which is a year later. A year after that, Brian Epstein is found dead. November 27th of 1967, Magical Mystery Tour, the album is released. December, the movie is released. July 17th of 68, Yellow Submarine, the movie is released. November 22nd, the White Album is released. January 13th of 1969, Yellow Submarine is released. January 30th of 1969, they do the performance on the Abbey Road roof, which is their final show. September 26th of 1969, Abbey Road is released. April 10th of 1970, McCartney announces he is leaving. That is 8 years. It's 8 years. It's not 10 years. It's not a decade. It's 8 years. The only reason people extend it to a decade is because of their kicking it off earlier. April 8th of 1970, Let It Be is released. May 13th of 1970, Let It Be the film is released. From 1962 to 1970, their core catalog is 217 songs. In the U.S. alone, they've sold 1.6 billion singles at last count, 177 million albums, worldwide 600 million albums. They have had 21 number ones on the Billboard charts and 25 number one albums. Here are the things the Beatles did first. Music videos used as promotion instead of live performances. Concept records, Sgt. Pepper's players as characters. Stadium shows, Shea Stadium, 55,000 fans. 55,000 fans, and you see the fucking PA that they were playing through, and it's basically Vox fucking little amplifiers and then these weird vocal stacks that look like a fucking BMW system. Completely useless. It was like singing into a jet engine, man. Useless. Useless. Band-owned record label, Apple. Global television performance. Multiple songs at the top of the charts. This is fucking crazy. In April of 1964, the Beatles held in England the number 1 slot, the number 2 slot, the number 3 slot, the number 4 slot, and the number 5 slot. They had a total of 12 songs in the charts that month. April of 1964. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and 12 songs in the charts at the time. Studio techniques that they invented. Direct injection, a.k.a. the DI, which is what it's really known as now. ADT, automatic double tracking for Lennon. Backmasking, compression, especially on drums. Flanging. In fact, the word flanging was created by John Lennon because George told him that when he asked what the effect was that we're looking for, he made up a fucking whole thing like modulated double glanging fucking flangicator, and John Lennon was like, all right, we've got to do that flanging thing moving forward. So John Lennon creates the term flanging. Backmasking, loop splicing, close miking of a drum set. Lyrics printed on an album sleeve, Sgt. Pepper, first time that's done. Ceased touring at the peak of their powers, no band had done it previously. Live impromptu set on the roof of a building, never done before. They did that fucking first. Everybody ripped them off. Here's a fucking crazy fucking fact. Back in the day, AM radio ruled the fucking world because you could get it across the whole country because its amplitude modulation just keeps going and goes. In frequency modulation, FM, you have to be able to see the line of sight of the antenna. So FM wasn't nearly as popular, right? So they had the pressing of Hey Jude. Hey Jude goes out. All of the AM stations refuse to play it because it's too fucking long. So they start playing an edited version of it, which is garbage. The FM stations started playing the full length of Hey Jude. And guess what happens? The audience starts to hemorrhage from AM to FM, and FM starts to grow in popularity simply because the Beatles had their fans transfer their loyalties to FM because Hey Jude was being played in its entirety. Over. First fade in on a record, 8 days a week. First feedback, I Feel Fine. First number 1 over 3 minutes, Ticket to Ride. First usage of Eastern instrumentation, Norwegian Wood. Although it should be mentioned that Brian of the Rolling Stones was also a big sitar guy, but they didn't get it into a fucking hit the way that Norwegian would. First use of a fuzz bass, Think for Yourself. First double A-side, Day Tripper, We Can Work It Out. First use of a Leslie for Vox, Tomorrow Never Knows. First use of backtracking, Revolver. For the guitar solo. First number 1 over 5 minutes, Hey Jude. First number 1 over 8 minutes, Hey Jude. Band merchandising at the level that they did it at had never been seen before. First rock band to play the Hollywood Bowl, yes. First rock band to win an Academy Award, yes. First rock band to write their own hits, yes. And just think of all of the art. So, anybody who tells you that the Beatles have no talent, or that they're overrated, or that they don't know what they're talking about, is a person who doesn't know what they're talking about.